If you want to become a great songwriter, you have to have written a lot of songs. Writing every day is the best and quickest way to do that. So today we're going to talk about why you should write every day and how to make that a reality. Well, hello and welcome to the Homemade Songwriter. I'm Matt, and today we're talking about the discipline of writing. If you look at some of the most successful songwriters of all time, they all have one thing in common. They've written a ton of songs. Bob Dylan has famously written over 500 songs. Taylor Swift over 160. John Mayer over 100, the Beatles over 200. Ed Sheeran said once in an interview that when he's writing for an album, he'll write up to 4 or 5 songs a day. Think of all the songs these artists have written that aren't on an album. There must be hundreds and thousands of songs that these artists have written over the course of their lives that we've never even heard. And all that writing and mastering the craft of finishing a song has made these artists the successful songwriters that they are. And it's not just songwriters that have discipline, any kind of writers. Stephen King sets out to write 10 pages a day. If you've ever read The War of Art, there's a great quote in there about a writer who is asked if he only writes when he's inspired. And he responds, "Yes, I only write when I'm inspired. Fortunately, I'm inspired every morning at 9 a.m. These writers don't just sit around waiting for inspiration to strike. They treat their craft like it's a job, and they show up every day. And I think we inherently know this. You are what you consistently do. Our habits are what shape us. I can't say I'm a CrossFitter if I only go once every 2 months, right? I can only really say I'm a CrossFitter if I show up to a CrossFit gym every day and do CrossFit exercises. So today let's talk about the 5 best ways to be consistent in your writing so that you can become a great songwriter. Tip number 1 is to schedule it. We all have busy lives and have more than enough things vying for our attention at any given moment. If something's not blocked out on your calendar, it will fall through the cracks, even if that something is doing nothing. Songwriting needs to become one of those major blocks in your calendar that other things are planned around. For example, I try to read my Bible every morning before I go to work, and I've found over years of being consistent and inconsistent with that routine that the times that I'm consistent is when I actually have it scheduled. Because if it's not scheduled from time X to time Y, then it's really easy for me to just sleep a little bit longer and then go straight to work. So if you're not a calendar person, now's the time to start. Take your writing seriously. If you hope to one day be able to write songs for other people as a living, or maybe write your own songs for yourself to sing in front of millions of people, then treat it like a job now. To help you out with this, in the description I have a template that's the hours of the day from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. in 30-minute increments. I want you to download that, print it out, grab a pen, and block out all the time slots that are absolutely taken, i.e. meals, work, school, baseball practice, whatever it is. And then look at the available time left and pick a slot, even if it's just 30 minutes, for songwriting. Now songwriting is going to be one of those blocks that everything else is planned around. If you can build that habit of writing every day, that habit will shape you into becoming a great songwriter. Tip number 2 is to set smaller and more achievable goals. Writing every day can seem overwhelming if the bar for writing is to have a complete song by the end of the day. For some people, that might be where you're at, and that's great. But for other people, that may be too high of a bar initially, and we need to work up to that point. We just need to set a different goal. Maybe writing for you can be coming up with a chord progression that you like, or writing a verse of a song that you'll maybe come back the next day and write another verse or a chorus. Something I did in the past when the time in my schedule was a little tighter was to write song titles instead of full songs. So I would sit down and write 3 titles and maybe a short description of what the song would be about. That way, when I have a more extended period of time in the future, maybe on a weekend or something, I already have a pool of song ideas that I can choose from. Maybe think about it like this. If you want to be stronger, then you need to lift weights, right? Now, if you lift really heavy weights today and then you don't go to the gym for 2 months and you come back and try to lift really heavy weights again, you're probably not going to be any stronger than you were the first time. But if you're in that gym every day, putting in the hours and putting in the work, then you're going to get stronger over time. It's the same thing with songwriting or art. If you write a song or create something and then you don't do anything creative for another 2 months, then it's like your creative muscles go into atrophy. It's better to at least do some kind of training, i.e. do something creative every single day to keep those muscles toned and strong. It may not feel like it's worth it or doing anything in the day-to-day, but trust me, we're playing the long game here. Over a period of time, your creative muscles are going to get much stronger. Tip number 3 is to keep a journal or a note on your phone with you at all times. On a more practical note, we never know when inspiration is going to strike, besides when you schedule it. So we need to be ready to capture it whenever it does. We can't always be in our writing room with a great cup of coffee and everything exactly as we like it. We need to be ready at all times. And if we're ready to capture inspiration when it strikes, it may just begin to strike more often. I can't tell you how many times I've had an idea while I'm at an event or in a conversation with somebody, and I think to myself, I'll remember that. That's no big deal. only to completely let future me down by not remembering it at all. Trust me, save yourself the trouble and excuse yourself for a minute and write down whatever the idea is. You'll thank yourself later. Now, one awesome consequence of this is it's going to get you into a songwriting mindset where you're constantly looking out for songs around you. Things that people say, or quotes that you read, or a TV show you watch. You sort of become a song hunter. You always keep your head on a swivel looking out for a hit song, and then you see some motion in the brush. You set your sights, you breathe out. Bam! You write it down. That's so stupid. Okay, seriously, keep a journal so you can write things down. Tip number 4 goes hand in hand with number 3, and that is to use your voice memo app on your phone. Sometimes writing something down can't totally capture the idea you're trying to remember, because maybe it's a vocal melody or a chord progression or something like that. Get in the habit of capturing those ideas too. I love to capture these little ideas for a while, and then maybe after a couple weeks, I'll go on a walk or on a drive and just listen to all the ideas I've come up with and see which ones really catch my ear again. And come up with your own system, but what I like to do is find the ideas that stand out to me in the group of recordings that I've made, and then I'll mark them with a light bulb so that I know which ideas I think are really good and worth coming back to when I have time to write a song. Tip number 5 is to do a songwriting challenge. One of the best things I ever did in songwriting was to do a 5 and 5 challenge with my roommates in college. This was creating 5 songs in 5 days, which up to that point in my life was more songs than I'd ever written in that small of a period of time. So we all agreed to do this challenge, and then at the end of the day, we'd meet in the living room and we'd all play our songs one by one for everyone else. The accountability and time restriction was a huge motivator, and honestly, it was just a lot of fun. And yeah, some of the songs sucked, but just like in sports, you can learn just as much, if not more, from losing than you can from winning. And at the end of the day, each of us had 5 more songs than we started with 5 days ago, which is pretty cool. At some point on this channel, we'd love to do a 5 and 5 challenge with you guys, so let us know in the comments if that's something you're interested in. Okay, that's all the tips I have. And if you need a jumpstart to get those creative muscles flexing again, then check out the link in the description of our songwriting prompt guide. It's completely free, download that, and I think it'll be a big help to you. Okay, question of the day. Do you write every day? And if you do, what are your tips for helping people write more consistently? Let us know. And if you got value here, please like and subscribe for more content like this. All right, that's it for this one. Keep on writing, and we'll see you in the next one.